skip ahead and we can see this video later. So now I will request our founder and CEO, Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, to please tell us more about what we are going to see today on the launch.
Thank you, Abhinav. I will take the screen because I can also present it. So let me present the screen. Give me the control of the screen presentation, please. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all here. I think, I mean, it's lovely to see you all for another Zoom call. We've done now 2 or 3 Zoom calls where we have launched the product. Who would have thought that pandemic would make us attend these beautiful events in a video format? But so it is. I'm sure and I'm hoping that you're keeping yourself safe and sound. Today, we have a few business presentations to make, which I love the way our teams have worked and the opportunity that it presents. So I'm going to give you a demo here of the video that we were talking about and the screen that you were just seeing. So here it is. Okay, this is funny. The keynote incidentally stops sharing as soon as you screen up. Oh, I think this is a bug in the keynote. If I think we need to present it from you, Vishnu. We need to present it from your screen. If I present it on a full screen, it just becomes my own screen.
Sure.
It doesn't allow me to play. And just unmute yourself because your laptop has a voice, because that video is beautiful. I want people to see that video. Yeah, we can see the, yeah. Now wait a minute. Yeah.
मैं ईशान सोनी रोशन दीपल की करोल बाग से हूँ। अब हमारे लड़के आसानी से पेटीएम की पेमेंट ले पाते हैं। पेटीएम के साथ हम भी आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
मैं टुंडे कबाब का ओनर मोहम्मद सलमान हूँ। कस्टमर की पेमेंट करते ही हमें ऑडियो कंफर्मेशन मिल जाता है, फोन भी चेक नहीं करना पड़ता। मैं पंकज जैन जी नोवेल्टीज का ओनर हूँ। पेटीएम की इस मशीन से रोज ही एक ही जगह सारे पेमेंट हो जाते हैं। इसको यूज करना इतना आसान है जैसे कि मोबाइल फोन ही इस मशीन के ऊपर फिट कर दिया।
हेलो, मैं उमेश शिंगोले। मैं फ्रेंचाइजी ओनर हूँ सागर घेरे अवधपुरी ब्रांच का। रोज का जो भी हिसाब होता है मुझे एक ही जगह मिल जाता है, चाहे यूपीआई हो, कार्ड हो या क्यूआर कोड हो।
सत श्री अकाल जी, मैं हर्षप्रीत सिंह ओनर ऑफ मोर फेस 7 मोहाली तो बोल रहे हैं। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰੀ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਕਾਰਡ, ਸਕੈਨ ਤੇ ਯੂਪੀਆਈ ਇੱਕੋ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ।
Thank you. So before we start, what is where we're going to launch today? There are some numbers, and as we all know, India's digital payment is on the unprecedented rise thanks to the innovative and incredible payment services launched by so many of us. Today, I can say from the consumer side that Paytm is the most comprehensive payment app, which means that it gives more number of choices of payment source and funding methods or payment methods to the customer than any other app, including, as you know, Ubiquitous Wallet, which has 328 million customers. And then there are 145 million UPI customers on our network. And then there are 64 million Paytm bank accounts that are there. Every month, right now, last month, we announced that we were doing more than 1.25 billion monthly payments. In fact, this run rate is increasing at an incredible, impressive rate, thanks to more number of merchants accepting, more number of consumers accepting digital payment as a way of life. I believe that this number, 1.2 billion, will very easily go into double and triple within the next 12 months comfortably. Today we are sitting, we have been able to bring 20 million small merchants on our merchant network, which obviously includes the UPI merchant network and wallet merchant network and card merchant networks, combination of this, because we believe that the universal QR is one of the most innovative innovation that has been built around. This allows merchant to become ubiquitous acceptance of all payments and all apps. Today, we cover 19,000 PIN codes covered and serviced, and there are 250 cities that are right now being served. Obviously, there is a method of do it yourself, which allows more number of people, but we have 250 cities where we will have people on ground who would be supporting and servicing these merchants. This is how we started. I'm sure you remember that the first merchant on Paytm 2015, my colleague Kumar in this call is so proud that he signed up this first merchant. And remember this, it was totally unassumed that how would a humble QR, which is a zero cost for a merchant, typically a paper sticker on the merchant side, could bring the payment revolution. It was an experiment we did. And earlier to this, there were POS machines, there were assumptions that people will pay to a phone number. And ultimately, these two innovations, paying to a phone number and paying to a QR, became the way India's digital payment economy is shaping up. So this is what we launched. After that, we got on NPCI's UPI network. So we converted our QRs to all-in-one QR, which means that every other app can also scan. That's 2017. Now all QR we release are all-in-one QR, basically UPI compatible QR, making every merchant accept payment from every other app. 2019, we started to figure out that there is a need for next level in payments. And the next level in payments means that merchants need not just a paper QR, but they need some more business services. So we created a Soundbox, which is an incredible innovation because reconciliation was the biggest concern. There were frauds, consumers, some fraudulent consumers would go on the shop and make pretend as if they paid. And now we wanted, and SMS deliveries, as you know, are not sure and delayed. So there were a lot of times when merchants would not be comfortable taking payment using apps because they were not sure whether the money has been received or not. So, and the cost was one of the big factors because other devices, including a printer or something, required continuous supply of paper and continuous supply of electricity and so on. So we created ground up this Soundbox, which includes push notification technology. And this is a technology which you remember the BlackBerry used to use. So this has a SIM card, this has a battery, and this has a network through which it receives a notification and it reads out. It's not an SMS reading device. It is as complicated and complex as BlackBerry service and servers are. Basically, Paytm runs push notification service for all registered Soundbox in this country. So we in real time are sending this push notification. I mean, the best thing I can tell you is that it is so flawless and so amazing that merchants actually pay a monthly subscription for this. And the reason is that there is a capex involved in this hardware building, and then there is a software that we continuously serve with. So we recover the cost on a monthly subscription basis. For everybody in this call, this is if you do not know, merchants pay typically 100 rupees a month for this device. And when it comes to next level of merchant, because we started to see that organized merchant also wanted mobile payments in their shops. And typically the machines were capable to take cards, capable to take payments from card only, and they were disconnected when it was mobile payment. And we could see that both these will converge. So Paytm launched the Smart POS device, which is where the single machine could take care of all kind of payments. And I think this is one of the really incredible innovation that we've done because it just took off unprecedentedly fast pace. We would have not imagined that we would have sold so many Android smartphone POS. I think the difference that I'm seeing is this is like a feature phone moving to smartphone. So these devices, thanks to the ability of multiple payment sources, thanks to the ability of mobile payment natively integrated, thanks to the ability of single reconciliation, it has become merchants' favorite in this country. And we are seeing, you will see the numbers that we are going to launch something on both of these 2019 toolkits in 2021 as we speak. 2020, we expanded our QR to a dynamic QR. A dynamic QR stands for when you go to, let's say, a retailer's POS machine where the bill is generated, can generate the amount and send it to the QR. So when you scan, you don't have to enter the amount. It will directly be taken care in the QR, and the scanning and paying will include that you have paid exactly, and the payment will be posted in the ERP of the merchant exactly that this was received money and so on. And we also launched smart devices, smart POS converted to smart devices. So there was, you can carry in the pocket or you can carry in your hand, and you don't require basically, we believe that paper is a gravity. It is not needed because customer who's paying using smartphone has the record already in the phone. So that is why we believe that Android devices that would be smart devices without printer will go on. Today, we are sitting with these devices, 9 lakh merchant in this country. Just as you can see that we launched 2019, as you know, we launched towards the later part of 2019. Actually, 2020 January, when we did an event, if you remember, in Bangalore, that is a time when we officially launched. So in less than literally less than, I would say 18 months, or we've signed up 900,000 merchants in this country of these devices. So it's unprecedented scale of distribution that we are seeing, and merchants actually pay for these devices as a subscription service. Today, we will launch the smart POS in a software method. So you saw the device that we launched there, and this is where the POS becomes available inside the phone. Now your phone machine itself, phone could act like a card acceptance machine, because RBI has allowed tap cards to pay using tap up to 5,000 rupees, which is more or less 80-90% of retail payments in this country. So now the obligation of even buying a new and separate device can be removed, because Android with NFC and various certifications can become your card machine. And to showcase this, I would call Vishnu, if you want to show this, how does it work and what is that it says. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So we have prepared a short video for everyone to see how this works.
Thank you, Vishnu, for that video. So the approach that we are taking here is that a merchant can download our Paytm for Business app and then activate card acceptance as a feature. So Paytm for Business app is where merchant sees his ledger of everyday payments. It also includes show QR and every other feature. And the approach here is that we would bring merchants to activate by clicking a button and a menu on the Paytm for Business app, and then activate this service. This is going to be a subscription paid service, and there is a very simple workflow. You just click on an amount and tap, and then anybody can tap at the back of the NFC, and it works out like a charm. Obviously, it'll include all kind of cards, Visa, Master, and RuPay. And RuPay, as we put a flag on here, by month end, it'll be live. It's just a process of certification and application. Everything is fine out there. And we're very thankful to our partners in Visa, Master, and RuPay who have supported us and made this possible in this country. This is the dream that we had, that every phone could take payment, just like a QR, which is exposed, and the client side, you need a smartphone. Now, client side, you can be a plastic or a phone, and you can pay on a merchant, which is wide. I believe that this would spread out and increase, like we have said, the number of merchants that we can target will be order of magnitude higher because of this, that will accept the cards. One thing that we are seeing is that merchants and consumers both need more payment options, while mobile payment, basically scanning a QR and paying directly from a bank account, is one of the most preferred method as we see the data. It is also the case that a lot of people want to use their plastic of credit card or debit card and the PIN in a non-mobile phone way, or even tokenized mobile phone will come over the period where you can tap a phone to a phone and pay. All these services will come forward. So I'm really happy that we today are launching this for our merchant partners. Yeah. The idea is that shops can have a QR on the counter and then carry the phone on the shop. So it can work on a restaurant, retail, logistics, delivery, everything. I mean, the person who's coming on your home to deliver, let's say, a packet, can carry the phone, you just tap it, and then bing, the payment is done. So I believe that cash on delivery or cash on the counter, both use cases will have significant less use cases once the customers see more and more acceptance. It's a network effect. More merchants accepting generates more consumer interest, and that we are very clearly seeing happening here. So this is a Paytm for Business app. As you can notice, we can show you QR here, and you can do these. You can see different features on this on this Paytm for Business app. This is for merchants. The idea here is that there is an accept card payment. You switch it on, and then you are ready to go. Yeah. So, Vishnu, you want to show Paytm for Business now?
Sure, Vijay. Or we can, if you want, we can do. We can show a demo of how it works.
Yeah, just quickly show the demo, and then we go for a quick call with TRR, and then we can go that. If you have a video or something, it'll be great if you can show us that.
Yes.
Let's understand how Paytm app POS works. First, you need to sign up for the service. Just log in to the Paytm for Business app with your NFC Android phone. Tap on Accept Card Payments. Verify your business details. Pay setup and monthly fees. Now, download Paytm's PCI certified secure Paytm app POS as directed, and you are ready. You can now accept card payments with ease. Tap on Accept Card Payments. Enter the amount and then tap card on the back of your phone. It's done. Payment collected successfully. These payments would be settled in your account with other QR payments. You can accept all Visa, MasterCard cards using Paytm app POS.
Thanks, Vishnu. Thanks, Vishnu. So I think, thank you so much, Vishnu. We can, I mean, this is as much for press to see. If you want to become a merchant, just download Paytm for Business app and then expand upon it. I'll call upon my friend TR Ramchandran, the Visa India CEO and MD. Thank you so much for joining us, TR. It's such a pleasure seeing you, and it's such a pleasure that we are able to unveil today something that we started many months back. What's your first comment on the same, TR?
Hi, Vijay. Firstly, wonderful to be here in yet another exhibition of what Paytm makes possible, the art of the possible. I remember discussing this. I remember discussing the one QR which you mentioned a while ago, just after demonetization, and this, using a phone as a POS. You said if a phone can make NFC payments, why can't it accept NFC payments? And that was like about 18 months ago. Delighted to note that, we actually launched this in about 26 countries across the world. Like you rightly said, contactless payments are one of the most simple and convenient ways of accepting and receiving payments. And if we have to make digital payments grow in this country, we all have to work as an ecosystem to make it as convenient as cash. And what can be as convenient as just tapping? And from a merchant perspective, I think what you have done with this is remove the friction associated with the 10 or 15,000 rupees for the EDC machine. And almost everybody has an NFC capable, Android phone. And just by downloading the app, what could be simpler than downloading the Paytm to Business app? So I'm really, really excited about this. I think 20 million merchants is scratching the surface. Just organized MSME alone, we know the number is 64 million. And so there's a long way to cover, and hopefully we'll partner on this journey with you over that long road.
Thank you, TR. I cannot feel more elated and excited on just like what you said, that we had discussed that what if an Android device itself could become receiving of the payment and card payments. It is incredible. It works like a charm. It is so intuitive that it is incredible for us to launch it. In fact, I want to share one thing, TR, here, that the Paytm for Business app is in hands of more than 10 million merchants. So
wow.
Basically, it opens up an avenue of acceptance to a really, really large number of merchants can see that they can convert themselves on a choice of acceptance of card network by tapping. I mean, it is really, really humbling to see that tens of million merchants will get an opportunity to convert into card acceptance machine. Like you said, there are 64 million SMEs. At Paytm, we are benchmarking ourselves that how fast and till how long will it take for us to take 50 million of those on a card payment network. So we have set our bar high by setting up this 20 million to 50 million merchants in next 2 years. So thank you again, TR, for this.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions, and a few questions are coming while the attendees are speaking. So we want to tell everybody that if you write the questions here, I will take them up and ask. I would answer myself and ask TR both. And so first thing first, TR, tell us that what is your view on India's digital payment? It is an incredible mix of smartphone, mobile phone payments where people have linked directly a bank account or created a wallet. And then there is an incredible large merchant network and large payment that happens through a card plastic tap. What do you think the India's payment is going towards? Where is it headed according to you? How would it be in next 2-3 years that we look at forward?
I'm like supremely excited, as I know you are. We keep speaking about this frequently, about India's digital payments for a very simple reason. For those of you on the call, I mean, if you put all the complicated and variegated payment mechanisms available to one side, the reality is of our 2.7, 2.8 trillion GDP, about 60% is personal consumption expenditure, which is about 1.2, 1.3 trillion, right? And despite the efforts of all of us on the ecosystem, less than 30% of that is digital, which means 70% of personal consumption expenditure is still cash. And that is what is supremely exciting for all of us. The consumers are showing us that secularly they want to adopt digital. The government is resolute that it wants a less cash economy. And the ball is in all of our court the toothpaste back into the tube. Because that has been a sort of one-way journey. And what is heartening, if you ask me what the single biggest thing that we have seen as a network, and we have been in India since 1981, right? The single biggest thing is going to everyday spend categories, into grocery, into pharmacy, into vegetables, into your local tailor, into your local bakery. It is no longer the purview of sort of IRCTC or airlines or hotels or restaurants. The everyday spend category and the consumer behavior towards that, I think that I would say is the single biggest strategic inflection point. Of course, there are very many others, but as we have seen even in the Paytm customer base, I'm sure you'll agree that the everyday spend category on the consumer side and on the merchant side, merchants are realizing they no longer want to be left behind. If the kirana shop next to you or if the auntie who's selling a tailoring shop next to you is offering digital payments, I don't want to be left behind. I want to offer my customers the choice. And that ecosystem, whether it's the Khata ecosystem or the sort of cash flow management ecosystem or the payment ecosystem, has sprung around that.
Yes. I think I would agree exactly on the same line that we were assuming earlier that black economy to white economy, or cash economy to the formal economy, or whichever way you want to call it. I mean, there are slangs that can be used for anything. I believe that what has changed is that one point of time, the merchants were uncomfortable that the payment will be coming in a digital format directly in the bank account. And now it has become a more of a customer delight issue. It's no more a issue of directly in the bank account or directly in a digital format versus it is a customer delight. It's become a customer pull that merchants are carrying these payment options. I think that is one of the biggest change, like you observed. One more thing, yeah, what do you think government or regulators should do to expand and continue the momentum that we are seeing?
I think the government, of course, has an enabling ecosystem for payments. I don't think there's any discordant note on that. You could argue about the mechanics and the semantics, but strategically, I mean, at a high level, I would say the government is very, very supportive towards digital payments, which is fantastic. From the regulatory side, it's always a fine balance, isn't it? Between innovation and customer convenience on the one side and security on the other. And sometimes, you know, the one you swing to one end of the pendulum and then you swing to the sort of other end of the pendulum. And, you know, I want to say that cybersecurity is very, very important in a country like us. There's no question, because as our customers are taking baby steps towards payments, none of us wants a scenario where the naysayers say, I told you so, digital payments to kaam nahi karega is mulk mein, and then you sort of go back to your old habits. So we have to absolutely have a responsibility to make sure that we keep customer convenience on one side of the coin and security on the other side of the coin. But I think what the regulator needs to do is to have more of an industry connect, to understand how technology can play a role in providing that innovation and convenience without sacrificing cybersecurity and data privacy. I think that's a very, very important sort of role.
You just touched one of the really important question also that is being asked by Srivina in this call, that simply means that now a phone could become a card acquiring machine and a tap of a card could make the payment. So how does a consumer protect themselves or their cards from potential frauds that could happen? I mean, there are all kind of videos that circulate, so we get to learn the exotic methods that fraudsters use. What's your advice to consumers? What's your advice or input on, let's say, a very easy to use smartphone becoming a card machine? Does it bring any special attention to be taken care or things to be taken care by consumers or businesses?
The first thing, I'm sure you know this, and your technology team has been incredibly supportive in working with us to sort of get this to market. Just because it looks so simple and intuitive in the front end doesn't mean it's that simple in the back end. There's a huge amount of effort which has gone into making it sort of, Fort Knox security, right? It conforms to all the PCI standards, every single one of the PCI standards, no deviations have been given. It conforms to EMV core standards. And when a contactless card is tapped, the cryptogram which is formed and the sort of message protocol which goes, none of that has been sort of compromised. So consumers can be absolutely, safe and secure about the efficacy of that transaction. And remember also that ultimately the transaction is going to a KYC verified merchant account. It's not going in cash to anybody.
Yeah.
So the phone is through a merchant who is onboarded by Paytm. And from a nodal account or escrow account or from a Paytm bank account, it is going to the merchant's bank account.
Yeah.
It's not going to anybody's pocket. And therefore, the ability of the customers to contest and charge back and get that money back is very, very easy to do. And the RBI has also mandated an SMS after the fact and sort of alerts and message transactions. And also the RBI has also said that card controls on your phone, you can choose to turn on or turn off whether you want to use contactless or turn on, turn off e-commerce. So the power is in the customer's hands, actually. So it's a very, very safe and secure way of dealing with it.
I think I want to reinforce what TR is saying here, guys, that number one, the customer has control in their phone or in their interface to activate, deactivate. If you are extremely conservative, you can deactivate and no concern about it, number one. Number two, the fact that it is a payment network payment. It is not a P2P payment. It is not a disguised merchant payment as if it is a P2P payment. So there is an extra layer of security because any merchant onboarded on payment network goes through multiple security, safety, and onboarding checks. Actually, it goes through so many of anti-money laundering to KYC to many other checks, that whenever a payment is made to a POS device, you can assume that there is a huge amount of safety, security, and onboarding process checkpoint that have been taken care. So like what just you heard, there is not only an opportunity to claim a chargeback, but also meaning no money can disappear. And just like, as you know, RBI has obligated every bank to an issuer to send a notification, and even assured if there is up to 5,000 rupees of fraud that has happened on your account, which you believe has happened something without you to want, so the bank is supposed to pay back first. In other words, you can be very sure this is not just safe and secure, it is very simple and easy to use, and it is extremely safe and secure. And I'm very proud to say the limit increase of up to 5,000 makes it even more impeccable for consumers and merchants both together. Yes, Neha, the question you asked here, that is there a ceiling on the amount of payment that can be done with NFC method? Answer is 5,000, correct? Yeah. What's your understanding on 5,000 as a limit? Is it good enough? Is it less? Is it something that needs to be increased? What's your understanding?
Firstly, the RBI wanted fraud data and transaction data of so many years in order to first increase the limit from 2,000 to 5,000, right? They've done it after due consideration. Secondly, after the pandemic, there are almost 56 countries across the world which have increased their limits on contactless transactions. The UK, for example, they increased it from 30 pounds to 50 pounds on contactless transactions. And I think you mentioned it at the beginning of your address, that 5,000 rupee limit addresses more than 92% of all debit card transaction spends in the country. So yeah, there'll be outliers, but like I said, if the digital payments are moving towards everyday spend categories, it should be more than enough to have. And we don't want anybody to buy diamond jewelry on contactless anyway. So
that requires a chip and pin and assurance of a pin verification. Perfect. I would also ask one question, which a lot of people are asking, that is it same as consumer tokenizing in the consumer side app like Paytm, or is it different than that? I mean, people are, I can see the audience in this right now is talking about, if your smartphone can take card as a tap, can I on my phone also tokenize a card or not? And any comments on that? Yeah.
And the short answer is yes. In fact, when Vijay, you mentioned that, payment for IoT is what you sort of headlined the whole thing. Yeah. And when the Internet of Things comes into payments, we think that 25 billion devices in the world, which will be IoT friendly for payments, right? Ranging from your smart refrigerators to everything else. And tokenization is the fundamental foundational layer for the next 5 to 10 years. And we're working with Paytm as well to see how we can sort of tokenize credentials. What it really does is devalue the data. So it converts the valuable card number into sort of not valuable token. So even if a fraudster were to hack in and get that, it's a meaningless piece of data, right? Because it gets encrypted only decrypted behind the firewall. It's foundational for tokenization. But the very short answer is yes, you can have a credential on your phone, which is tokenized. So you can tap your phone. So sender of the payment is a mobile phone and receiver of payment is a mobile phone, and boom, the transaction happens.
Yeah. So Mayur, I love the question, and I want to share that obviously, as Paytm, we would love to enable the tokenization of different bank issued cards on Paytm app. There are different kind of guidelines that regulator have issued, and this is a process that one bank at a time goes forward. And this effectively means that just like you've seen Apple Pay in the world, that when you tap the phone, what is happening is there is an acquiring side network being built. Today's launch allows this acquiring side network to be built, which in turn will generate customers to create tokenized apps or tokenized cards in the phone so that they can pay using phone by tapping that. Yeah, one tricky question here, and you have to take a side. Is it going to be a QR scan or is it going to be tokenized app? Obviously, tokenized card can also pay on a QR. I just want to first clarify to everybody in this call or in this audience that when a card is tokenized, it can pay to the B party on a tap or on a scan or on any other method. This is not a question whether one network will play in the other business or not. But my question is in a consumer behavior way. PR, what do you think consumers will prefer, a QR scan or a tap?
I think, as you know, the Far East and the Chinese ecosystem is more gravitated towards a QR ecosystem. The whole of Western Europe and US increasingly now, in the New York metro, you can tap and enter the metro, right? So it's adopted the contactless ecosystem, but as always, India will find its own way. So I would be hesitant to take a side, unfortunately. But I would say that given the 30% penetration and 70% more to go, I think we need everything. Why not give the customer choice on what she wants?
Yeah. I admire your acknowledgement of customer as a she here. Welcome everyone for International Women Day here yesterday. One question that Yutika has asked, I want to confirm that this software has been developed in partnership with Visa, because Visa is a acquiring side partner. So card networks are supposed to be part of the game, and that is why we get the SDK and we have to build. We independently cannot, because we are technically in this case an ISV which has partnered with payment network like Visa. Like I suggested in the presentation, it includes all leading networks as a part of the process. So we have partnered with them. And yes, it is in partnership with Visa and other payment networks here. Yeah, one tricky and last question for you. Tricky because it requires your opinion on something that you've not talked publicly yet, but still this is a topic of talk of the town, NUE. What is your understanding of NUE? What opportunities it opens? We see that Visa is participating in one of the NUE. My question would be, what do you think an NUE can play a role in this country where the payment is booming so much? Is there a special thing that you believe fundamentally an NUE could do that is not being done today?
Well, without getting into
all journalists, you can pay me as a questions.
Vijay, as you know, we can't comment on any specifics, nor do I wish to do so. But generally speaking, in our conversations in the RBI, I was in a panel with Mr. Ravi Shankar, who was the executive director of the Department of Payment and Settlement Systems. And I'm just quoting him, not me. The RBI sort of said there are two reasons which they want in their note as well for the NUE, right?
Yeah.
Number one, in a country like ours, they believe a payment is a systemically important infrastructure, and they don't want a single point of failure. They want to avoid a concentration risk. Number two, they've also said that equally, they believe that the variegated, even in the vision document of the RBI, the variegated nature of the Indian market, the heterogeneous nature of the Indian market means that one size does not fit all. And you require various verticals. I can give you 2 or 3 examples, right? For example, I think the B2B ecosystem is underpenetrated in the country. We talk about the remittance, whether it's domestic remittance or cross-border remittances, is underpenetrated in the country. So there are various use cases which sort of serve to have. It's anybody's guess. I mean, who will succeed and who will fail. But the reality of the matter is that, like I said, it is in the nature of the argument that it requires 1,000 flowers to bloom to satisfy the digital appetite of a variegated country like ours. I'll leave it there.
Perfectly put, yeah. And I think to so many people who ask on NUE, in fact, RBI has answered it so very well. Not just an opportunity, but an obligation for this country is to build a payment infrastructure that is well diversified. And it is no one secret for 1.2 billion of us, the one size fit all approach just cannot work. I mean, look at the excitement that we saw. Here, I can tell you that we assumed that once the smartphone payment or mobile payment takes off, very less number of merchants will be interested in the devices. But we found out, like you could see, in less than 18 months, we are able to sell more than 9 lakh devices. And that is possible only because that one size fit all does not work out here.
Absolutely right.
I think the best part about India is like a European Union, which has a cohort of every country and every segment of EU within one single country, I'd say. So I'm good to see you talking about it. There is a question that Tarush is asking here on acquiring side. How soon can we see the NFC transit use case be adapted? Is Paytm working on this, and how is Visa helping other payment firms? Tarush, I think NFC transit use case is government has mandated standard called NCMC, National Common Mobility Card. And yes, you can, Paytm is working on it, as I can say that. And yes, payment networks have their opportunities, and we actually work with a payment network to launch. There is no doubt about it. So that's transit use case. One more question to you, Tiar, which has been asked here, that tell us that you saw this soft POS working out in tens of countries around the world. what kind of merchants and how did it expand the payment acceptance? What are the sweet spots or good use cases or opportunities for Indian payment companies to go forward when the soft POS comes in the way? Because multiple companies are launching their soft POS, right?
It's funny, and that's a great question, by the way. Originally, our hypothesis was that only people like a single man or single woman micro entrepreneur would adopt the soft POS, right? Because their own Android phone, etc., etc. But to our surprise, we find that even the more established merchants are adopting soft POS. And I'll tell you, the answer is very simple. It's not so much on the merchant side; it is on the acquirer side, or the bank side, or the payment, facilitator side. Earlier, there was a cutoff saying, okay, merchant, for example, does not give me 50,000 rupees of business, is not worth my while to put that EDC machine of 10,000 or 15,000 rupees, or we're going to ask the merchant to pay. But if you tell the merchant, like this, the Paytm for Business app, you just sort of download the app and then, we'll do the KYC and then we'll onboard you as a merchant. Suddenly, the entire ecosystem of merchants is available to you. So I would hesitate to say it's any one particular merchant. We have seen, for example, there is in Pravadevi in Mumbai, right? There is a pharmacy which has a soft POS.
Beautiful.
Right? So it's just not, it's not one category. It's anybody who has an Android phone. I would say the only limitation to this, logistically speaking, it can't be the owner's phone, because the owner goes away carrying his or her phone, then, transactions can't happen in the shop. But apart from that, I don't think there's any restriction to it.
Yes. I think it's like, as they say, bring your own device in a corporate era. BYOD.
Exactly. Exactly.
BYOD, less like that your common day phone would work. I would think that it's a bring your own device, whatever fancy device you feel like.
Absolutely.
Cost, it just need to have a ability and capability, which is minimum guarantee. Thank you so much, TR. I'm very proud and I'm very happy that with Visa and other payment networks, we've been able to launch this. Your coming here in this event means a lot to us. And I can say that together, we will take the merchant network in this country, not just on today's few millions to tomorrow's tens of millions together. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
Thank you so much, Vijay. As always, pleasure to be associated with Paytm. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Well, with this, we have the star launch of today. This is one of the products that we've been working on for long term. I can say that we never knew that the response that we got from merchants and the response that we got from the market would be so overwhelming. It's not just loved by consumer, not loved by merchant, it is also loved by consumers. In the words of one of the very senior and very I would say influential payment executive, when he was paying on a shop, and when she said "Ho gaya," and then the person and then the sound box made a sound which was that yes, payment received ₹50, and yes, it is done. That kind of satisfaction on a face of a merchant and a delight on a face of consumer is what we are launching, version 2.0. Ladies and gentlemen, Paytm Soundbox 2.0 is getting ready to launch today. Like I told you, in 2019 when we launched it, and today we are going to launch the version 2 of the Paytm Soundbox. With me is Kumar Aditya. Kumar, show up yourself, and Vishnu, can you just show us what this Soundbox is? Kumar, go ahead and tell us about the Soundbox. Kumar runs this business of Soundbox. Guys, this is one of the best made in India innovation that we can tell, and it is so much loved. And as you can see, it's from hardware to software, all made in here. And the beauty is that we are able to customize it to a multilingual and many other use cases. The roadmap is so thrilling and exciting that we believe that it will be millions and millions of independent merchants that will take this. So Kumar, over to you for talking about Soundbox and then Soundbox 2.0 launch today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining in. I'm going to talk about Soundbox. Before I talk about Soundbox 2.0, I would like to talk about our journey of Soundbox 1.0, which we launched more than a year back. A lot of you would have seen this device in the market in some form or the other. I am very proud to share that this actually has been a game changer for the digital payment ecosystem. It's actually a voice-enabled passbook as of now, this is what it is. But the usability of this device is so much that it cuts across. I mean, we've seen adoption of this device from a street vendor to an auto rickshaw driver to a very upmarket store. So the adoption has been phenomenal. And in a very short span of time, we have more than 500,000 deployed devices in the market. Right. Now, what this device has done is it has actually enhanced the trust in the entire payment ecosystem on both the sides, on the merchant side as well as on the consumer side. So the most obvious use case of this device when we launched was that we were beginning to see a lot of few consumers showing fake screens, transaction screens to the merchants or old SMSs. And we saw a lot of merchants losing money, right? So after this device, when the merchant gets a sound notification, he is absolutely sure about the transaction. And this has increased his trust on the digital payments, right? So it does good to the overall ecosystem. What it also does is it has given the merchant a lot more control and he feels empowered, right, in the entire process of making a transaction. Because the digital payments are originated by consumers, right? So this restores the balance of power and merchant feels a lot more empowered. And as Vijay rightly said, it was a surprise to us also. We've seen a huge customer delight into this entire piece. And we've received feedback from a lot of consumers that they felt assured after making a transaction. And it was actually very well received on the consumer side as well, right? Now, when we launched this device about a year back, we had only a couple of use cases in our mind. So the first one, as I told you, was that the fake transaction screens and all the kind of frauds which were happening. So this has helped in removing those frauds. The other use case, which was very clear in our mind, is that you have seen a lot of outlets which have multiple cash counters and the owner of the outlet confirming transactions from every person sitting on that cash counter. We have seen merchants who generally do not sit on the outlet throughout the day. So he's at his home and the cashier is sitting at the shop and he always calls him back to confirm a transaction. So this solves that use case. We've also seen fleet operators in cabs giving it to their drivers, right? When they are driving on Uber, Ola, etc. We have seen adoption over there as well. So we have seen adoption in these use cases. Now I'll share a couple of more things with you. A lot of times you would have noticed yourself that if you are a loyal customer of a particular merchant, it was an awkward moment for you to share a screen because you would always expect the merchant to trust you, and merchant would also feel very awkward to ask you for a screen. So this has actually solved that purpose. And so if you do any market research survey, it will not come out in any of those surveys. It's an insight which we picked up in the market after we launched the device. And these are some of the reasons why this device has been very well received in the entire ecosystem, right? Another thing before I move on to the next one is that there are outlets which see a lot of traffic at certain hours, right? And they find it very, very challenging to keep looking at their phone to confirm payments. So it's an ergonomic challenge. And this device, Soundbox, when it's playing a voice notification, solves the problem of those merchants who do not want to kind of keep looking at the device on the phone for confirmation. So overall, all in all, it has been very well received, and I would request Vishnu to take you through a testimonial video on what merchant has to say about it. Have a look.
Hi, myself Mahesh Batra at Express Ration. हम यहाँ पे इसका साउंड बॉक्स यूज करते हैं. इससे हमें फोन पे कंफर्मेशन चेक करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. हाय, मेरा नाम सोहन चौधरी है. मैं चौधरी मेडिकल का ओनर हूँ. हम लोग पिछले 1 साल से पेटीएम के साउंड बॉक्स को यूज कर रहे हैं. इससे हमें शाम को जब काफी भीड़ हो जाती है तो बार-बार हमें फोन चेक करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. मेरा नाम विष्णु शर्मा है. ये साउंड बॉक्स में किसी भी वाईफाई की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. इसमें एक सिम कार्ड डलती है
मैं ईशान सोनी रोशन टिकुल्फी करोलबाग से हूँ। 6 महीने पहले ही हमने पेटीएम के साउंड बॉक्स मशीन का इस्तेमाल करना शुरू करा है। अब हमारे लड़के आसानी से पेटीएम की पेमेंट ले पाते हैं।
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम भरत भाई है। कस्टमर के पेमेंट करते ही हम लोग को आवाज आ जाती है। साउंड बॉक्स से क्या होता है, कस्टमर को बुरा नहीं लगता और हमको भी आसान हो जाता है।
पेटीएम करो।
Kumar, I loved when our Prime Minister was talking to that lady in one of those presentations, if you remember, and how she was telling, "आवाज आया?
yes.
तो आपने सुना?"
Yeah.
That was
अब हमें कोई पागल नहीं बना सकता, is what the lady said.
हाँ, अब हमें कोई पागल नहीं बना सकता. I think that was it was a surprise to all of us. I mean, we just didn't know that it is coming up, and we all were like, "Oh my God, ऐसे customer हो तो कितना अच्छा हो." Kumar, next slide, please. I think the
Yeah.
best thing
So
I can that
yeah.
today Kumar is going to give you the 2.0. What is 2.0 about it, and what is here today, and what was missing in the one?
Sure. Yeah. So see, at Paytm, we are very clear. We listen to our consumers and merchants very closely, and that's how we are able to kind of bring innovations every now and then. So over the last 1 year, we have kind of collected feedback, and we have built all this feedback into the new device, upgraded device. We are calling it Soundbox 2.0, and I would like Vishnu to start with the video, and then I'll take you through.
After the amazing and unparalleled success of Paytm Soundbox, we bring you another power-packed version of India's favorite IoT device. Introducing Soundbox 2.0. Soundbox 2.0 comes with all the features of the existing Soundbox. Instant payment confirmations, battery-operated, all payment sources, inbuilt SIM card, but that's not all. Soundbox 2.0 provides instant payment confirmations through audio as well as display alerts. The new Soundbox comes with a digital display, so now view every payment received along with an audio alert. Received Paytm payment of rupees 500. Closing your day is much simpler now, since you get an audio announcement of your daily payment summary, which includes number of payments received in the day, total amount received, amount to be settled in your bank account. Today's summary for Paytm QR code. Received 2 payments of rupees 800. Net amount to be settled of rupees 800. In case you are confused about your last payment received, we have got you covered. Similar to the Soundbox, you can replay the last payment at the push of a button. Received Paytm payment of rupees 300. Keeping a check on the battery status to keep your device constantly running is quite easy. Get battery level announcements on your device and stay charged always. Your device battery is 10%. Please charge the device. Your device battery is fully charged. Paytm Soundbox 2.0 provides assurance of every payment to you effortlessly. So what are you waiting for? Open the Paytm for Business app and order a Soundbox 2.0 now. Paytm karo.
Wow. So Kumar, I can see that you talked about 2 features here, that there is a screen here. Why would you think that there is a screen here? And second would be that there was a battery alert. So tell me about these 2 features.
Sure. So as I think in the beginning of the presentation, you also mentioned that few customers have figured out an innovative way of still trying to fleece the merchant by showing a sound. So this is a double confirmation that the merchant can now see the amount as well on the screen. So this is a double assurance to the merchant. So that's the reason for the digital display. And for the battery, see this Soundbox, even the previous one has now been tested in the dusty environment of India. It is a very, very robustly designed, very good build quality device. What we have seen is that a lot of merchants, they forget to charge the battery. And at the end of the day, the device switches off, and that's when they kind of recharge it. Now, with the battery announcement, we will be able to kind of tackle that challenge, and before it discharges, he will be able to recharge. So these are the two primary features. Apart from that, I think the most important one is it's 100% made in India technology. We own the source code, and because of that, we can do a lot of customization to the device going forward. And that's one of the reasons you see end of day payment settlement, reconciliation. Merchants can replay the last 5 transactions. So we can do a lot more with this device.
Lovely. I can see the end of the day payment summary equal to being an end of shift. जब एक व्यक्ति आता है और दूसरा जाता है तो कहते हैं कि कितना कलेक्ट किया तुमने, तो एक क्लिक करेगा, इस शिफ्ट में इतना अमाउंट हो गया और इतना हो गया. Correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
Handover shift. That is one thing which is very, very good. I think another thing that I am seeing here is that the QR code is in full glory, big. You know, Soundbox is like when you see it, it's a cute little device that you can place at places. This seems like the full standee. Any reason for making it larger than the previous one and look differently?
So this is actually in true sense all in one. So we have merged our QR code standee with a Soundbox, so that the merchant doesn't have to handle two things, and it's large for the customer to see it easily, and customer doesn't get to see the Soundbox part of it, which is actually on the back side. So it's we merged both the things, and it's easier to handle.
एक बहुत ही सही होगा जब कोई फेक पेमेंट का अगर स्क्रीन दिखाएगा तो कस्टमर कहेगा, मर्चेंट कहेगा 1 मिनट रुक जाइए, आपसे कुछ बात भी करनी है मुझे, मेरी डिवाइस ने कुछ बोला नहीं है.
Correct.
Well, congratulations. And what numbers or device target that are you keeping here, Kumar? Is there a number? I mean, we publicly announced that we will chase 50 million merchants. What do you think the number of these devices that we are launching today and we have launched overall will be the target number of devices that you want to see in the market, the IoT devices that you want to see in the market from Paytm?
So thanks for making me commit on the targets on the call itself, Vijay. So it's going to be, I think, 2 million is what we can target this financial year. 2 million devices.
Beautiful. And to everyone, our target is to carry this to 5 million by next year end. So you know it, that internally we are carrying in 1 year, less than next 12 months, we are talking about 2 million, and then next year 5 million of these devices. Brilliant. Now there is a question. I think it'll be amazing for us to get our star guest also in front of public. Is there something else that you want to show us in this slide, Kumar?
No, Vijay, this is done. So I will switch off the video. Yeah.
You should be here. And Kumar, you should be here. We have some questions for you.
Yeah, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a star guest whom you would love to hear incredible question answers. As you can see that I have not spared TR from questions that you waited. We are making sure that you get to hear incredible question answers here also. So these are some questions from chat, and the journalists, our friends, are asking in press. So how much do merchants have to pay for Soundbox 2.0? Neha Alawari is asking.
Okay, so the merchant has to pay an upfront amount of 750 rupees, followed by 125 rupees per month.
Okay, and Soundbox 1.0, how much was this costing per month if it is 125 rupees?
That was 500 plus 100, 500 upfront and 100 rupees per month.
Okay, so 100 rupee per month is the old Soundbox without screen, and the new Soundbox with 125 rupees.
125, yes.
When does it get launched? When can a merchant get it? This is like an iPhone release, right? This is a with screen, without screen, and with the Soundbox 1, Soundbox 2. When is it available for our business partners and merchants to see?
From today. They can order online on our Paytm for Business app, and in the market by the start of next week, we'll see our people selling it.
And continuing on this, Neha's question is that can the merchant upgrade from a Soundbox 1.0 to 2.0?
Yes. We have a upgrade plan. Yes.
You have an upgrade plan. Good. Mayur is asking that how do you see integration of Paytm with accounting application for small merchants evolving? Do you fundamentally believe? Okay, Mayur, I can take this question myself. I fundamentally believe that Paytm has created a number of softwares, number of services for Soundbox to all these services that we are talking today, where we will, as Paytm, we would give merchants choices where they can live integrate their tools and softwares directly from business software into the payment device. I'm going to show you this device. This is screen, which probably tells you what our devices are and how does it work. I'm going to show you this one device that we are not talking in this presentation because we did not want to make too many devices in one presentation. So this, the smart POS, this, the Linux POS, this, the Soundbox 1.0, and this is the Soundbox 2.0. And here it is, the dynamic QR. So this is something me and our star guest was talking before this call, Mayur. This allows the billing system and accounting system of merchant to directly display a QR with the amount that is added inside it. And once the customer is scanning it, it can even see the breakup of what amount, etc. it has. So you're talking about a dynamic QR displayed to the merchant, displayed to the consumer on this LCD screen. So this in between is an LCD screen, which is looking up here, that merchant can use. So I hope that is what your question was. This is part of our plan, Mayur. We believe that small merchant, medium merchant, large merchant, different needs. One side fit doesn't all doesn't work. We are the champion of merchant, we are the champion of consumer, and that is why multiple payment and multiple payment solutions here. Pranav Mukul is asking, does the Soundbox 2.0 have POS capability? And I'm assuming, Kumar, POS capability stands for, can a consumer pay using card? Or is it a QR scan? And what is your understanding on?
We will selectively enable cards on merchants who have done KYC with us.
Okay, so card network requires stringenter onboarding, if you will. And because this is a merchant onboarding process, so merchants who will give the more detailed stringent onboarding will enable the card acceptance. So customer can, will you bring the card on a tap, or will you bring a card in the phone app? Meaning, is a Paytm scanning Paytm app, scanning this QR in Paytm app will show the cards. That is what I'm
Yes. To start with, card on tap is in the pipeline. We might launch it in future as well.
All right, got it. And in this case, I think the question is what the target of Paytm app POS with Soundbox. Does the monthly subscription rate for merchant change with 2.0? I think, Supriya, we just answered the both. The targets, as you literally saw, POS independently is 2 million, but overall our target is 5 million devices, multiple devices as a portfolio there. And Suti, where are the devices manufactured? The device is manufactured not in India, so they are manufactured in Taiwan, China, and other neighboring countries, because these devices manufacturing capability is molding, plastic injection molding. All the software and hardware is on our configuration, so it's just assembling, if you will. This is regarding smartphone POS announcement. Manish is asking, how many Android smartphones today support NFC? How many Android smartphones today support NFC? I think NFC is now by default coming in literally, unless you're buying a low-end device, nearly every device.
I think 12,000 plus device, Android device will typically have. Yeah.
That's why I was saying that if you go into 5-figure devices, they are all inclusive of NFC. So how many as a count is, we cannot say, but devices are supporting NFC. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kumar. Any other exciting feedback that merchant, any anecdote that you found on a Soundbox that you want to give before I switch on my stars guest in this call?
No, I think the kind of merchants who have adopted Soundbox is like beyond our imagination. So we saw a rickshaw driver taking a Soundbox, and I asked him whether you'll be able to afford 100 rupees. So he said that I'm able to afford 200 rupees of rent of my auto every day, and any one fraud transaction can dupe me of 100 rupees. So I can certainly afford. And we saw him adopting. So I think that was like, so it's a new learning for us every day. I mean, people are buying it.
So much, Kumar. Lovely seeing you. With this, ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Introduce you one of the most awaited guests in our today's session, Dilip Asbe, the CEO of NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India. Dilip, switch on your video, come on the stage. We can't wait to see you here. Welcome, Dilip. How does it sound? How does it sound? The sound of Soundbox 2.0, launch of Soundbox 2.0. What is your first comment on that?
So this is, Vijay, first of all, let me say that, you said star guest. When Vijay is around, there is only one star, and all of us are watching the stars. So you can't say that there is any other star when Vijay is around. Second thing is, I think let the answer how do you the Sound 0 and 1.0 obviously. Today, when we looked at the supply side and demand side, I think the super apps have been very, very popular in India on the consumer side, right? Today, the merchant, while many of them have launched the app for the merchant, to be honest, I don't think merchant have been made comfortable. When I say, merchant has his own problems, and one of the videos I saw that there are two, three people waiting in the queue to buy the grocery from the merchant. And merchant, why merchant likes the cash? Because there is an instant gratification, right? He doesn't have to look at his phone, he doesn't have to move around in his shop because he's waiting to service the next customer. I think the Soundbox helps him to service multiple customers at the same time, while seamlessly just keep on hearing, right, whether the payment has been received or not. I think this is really a true innovation to making that merchant comfortable. In the micro payment, Kumar was talking about, even the 100 rupees, 200 rupees, one transaction miss will actually, it's very, very troublesome for the merchant, and he doesn't have the trust in that payment system. So I think your Soundbox technology creates the trust for the merchant to accept the digital payments. I think it's a big leap, Vijay. And today, while you were talking about number of transactions, the below 100 rupee transactions are about 76% in volume, right? Unless we attack that, the cash in circulation reduction is just not possible. Because what is driving the cash in the wallet or cash with the customers is the low ticket transaction, and I think your Soundbox really addresses this in a big way.
Thank you, Dilip. Like you said it, the best payment method is when you can not bother about 10 rupee, 15 rupee, less than 100 rupee, less than 1,000 rupee payments to be brought out as a cash. And that is exactly what this country's economy runs on every day, number of high repeat transactions that happen. So Soundbox, like you said, is a sound of money for our merchants. And I can say that we feel elated when consumers and merchants both are so happy talking to each other. Oh, wow, how did I hear it? Somebody even said it. Hindi में किसी ने बोला था, I think Munjal ने बोला था कि ये तो आकाशवाणी, भगवान की आकाशवाणी की तरह आया, पैसे प्राप्त हो गए बस. So amazing. We are so happy seeing number of people talking about it. Dilip, tell me, you've been the orchestrator, architect, and champion who has brought the interportable QR in the country, and the success of India's retail payment must be attributed to that. So first of all, applauds for building a unique system that is interportable and at this massive scale. What do you attribute, and what do you see this payment network that you've been able to orchestrate, participate with multiple participants is showing up today as? How do you feel, your comment on that retail network, and where is it headed forward in next 4 or 5 years when you see in future?
So Vijay, I think you have been talking about that. Our country is 1.2 billion population and deserves different solutions as per the need of the merchant and the consumer both, right? And we at NPCI truly believes that. And while there are, we have used the card-based payments and the payment methods from Visa and MasterCard, NPCI always believed that there is a localization of the technology and payment system is required. And you would see many payment systems what we have built up, whether it's Aadhaar-enabled payment system, whether it's UPI, whether it's Bharat Bill payment system. I think most of the payments what we have built, what actually India needs. Obviously, some are successful, some are in the growth phase. So we are quite patient to see all the payment systems which will take off eventually. But I think this localization, and I think the your speaker 1.0 and 2.0, actually Soundbox 1.0 and 2.0 is also a localization in a sense, and it actually fits the bill in my assessment, that whatever you do, keeping in mind the customer and merchant as a central point, I think those are the innovations which will be successful in India, in our assessment.
Dilip, I can say this very, very assuringly. I mean, now the whole world talks about how well the UPI has entrenched in consumers' mindset, directly payment from a bank account to the QR codes ubiquitous all across the places. I'm sure you've seen the Soundbox and you've used, your code tells us that, your conversation tells us that. Give us something more that you saw, or anything else, like a very convenient use of mobile payments when you didn't have to feel that I have to bring the cash out and do something, and you felt, oh wow, this is so nice. Any other use case beyond Soundbox, or any other innovation that you saw, even if it is literally without technology, if you will, like as Indians say that there is a jugaad out there, or there is a feature which may be not so much of a technology but a use case centric?
So I think this pandemic actually has kind of moved the needle in a big way. After demonetization, if I can say that, the pandemic has been the big mover on both on the merchant side and consumer side, and the move has been with willingness in mind. I think this is very important, that when customer or merchant is actually wanting to adopt digital payments, because then they are able to deal with all the risk and all the challenges, whether it's awareness, education, as far as the payment systems are concerned, not sharing the details, not sharing the OTP and those kind of things. So I think the pandemic has driven the need in a big way, and has seen the migration of from the cash to digital. Obviously, there are many such methods. One is Soundbox, one is the link-based payments. I think there are many. Today, when you look at, and one of the things which I again, I would like to congratulate you. When you go to fill in the petrol or diesel in the car, I can actually sit down in my car, because I was worried about the infection as anybody else, and I can actually scan the big QR, Paytm QR, interoperable QR code sitting in my car, and actually pay for the fuel. I think that was again, sure, again, I have to give credit to you and your team to understand the need of the size of the QR when you're sitting in the car, that you need a bigger QR, and easily you can scan it from 10 to 15 feet, right? It's as good as, you don't need to actually interact with anybody. Just keep your car's glass up and scan the QR code and pay. So again, I think this pandemic has taught all of us as an ecosystem to do really what consumer and merchant needs, in that sense. So I would say that it's a blessing in that sense to for the digital payments to teach us that obviously NFC is a world known mechanism for the contactless payment, but how QR can really help as another cost efficient contactless method to pay, irrespective of where you are paying, irrespective of where you're paying. I think that's what I could recollect.
Absolutely. Dilip, as you know that you've been launching UPI 1.0, UPI 2.0, and number of features on UPI. What is the kind of thing that we can expect in 2021, seeing the unprecedented scale UPI has been able to see? Give us a sneak preview, or any direction that you're thinking, things that you expect developers like us or partners like us to build. Give us a little bit of expectation and a view of what is coming forward in this mobile payment age.
Again, Vijay, going back to your presentation, I saw the last the dynamic QR actually really excited me, and and the way I look at it, obviously it better, but when the consumer side is driven by the software and the merchant side is driven by the software, I think that the sky is the limit for the innovation, right? Once you have the control on both sides using a software, right, which is centrally connected, right? You can create a magic, right? For just to give you a couple of use cases, what we can look at is, government has been wanting to get the GST component inside the QR code, and which is where we were trying to look at the next version of UPI QR code, which has the GST component enabled. Today in the bill, nobody understands what is the GST amount, because GST is component wise. So today with the dynamic QR code, what you showed, it can have the GST component separate along with the transaction amount as it's required for the payment. The government can know exactly what is the GST collected from the digital payments, and this is required irrespective of the category of the merchant, right? Where it's required the small merchant, it required at the organized retail, the shoppers of the world, and the future retail. So once you have those kind of capabilities, the government can know, okay, this much is the GST collection, and today if they want to offer the cashbacks, if they want to offer the discounting, the real-time discounting is possible to give the benefit to the customer and the merchant for making the digital payment based transaction. So I think that really excites me, and that will drive many more use cases like this.
I think I would have never imagined the dynamic QR, which is our organized merchant solution, which we like I showed you, but we've not made a public formal announcement yet because this is running in a beta. This splitting GST could become such a big use case, like you are suggesting. Customers knowing that in my bill, how much is the total bill amount, and how much is the GST. It could be a game changer of merchant and consumer behavior. And like you said, government's incentives on GSTs and information will be a big thing. Philip, UPI has been growing. I mean, congratulations once again. It is tough.
Sorry,
yes, go ahead. Talk about that on GST.
Sorry, Vijay. And once you have the control on both sides, tomorrow you want to, tomorrow you can decide, sitting in one location, today the Mumbai-based Paytm merchants and users can offer 10% discount on all Paytm-based payments. Automatically, I'm saying that the ability to offer the loyalty rewards with the instant gratification when there is a software on both sides which is centrally controlled, the ability to innovate, ability to provide the instant gratification related schemes back to the customer, is ability to provide more information on both sides, to the customer and the merchant. It becomes a crazy game in that sense. So I think once again congratulations for that dynamic QR, and I think we look forward many more things like that.
Thank you. I underestimated how important could it be. To be honest about it, I underestimated. Otherwise, we would have made. We would definitely. This is running in our beta right now. Like I told you, this is running in a beta. We would upgrade it with this feature and then talk about it as a future release. Thank you, Dilip. I was talking about the UPI scale. It's enormous. It's most talked about payment system in the world. It's not only in the payment system of India. It is going places. You see that UPI requires bank partners, and there are so many of the heterogeneous of them that it is tough for you to even structure it in a way that you could, you could bring so many of banks' ability together. And all of us who are in technology, all of us who understand payment system understand that it requires every node in the network to be scalable. Then only the network is scalable. Anything that you're doing towards scaling UPI to the 10x volume or any other thing that is in your plan? I mean, nothing that you need to declare publicly right now, but my intention is that I do believe that it will be growing to become even big and bigger like it is growing right now. Anything that you're doing for scale and scale the success of UPI in India itself as of now?
So we have been working very closely with all the ecosystem partners to scale up the systems. Obviously, it requires a lot of investments into the IT and the technology. And obviously, it's a journey because UPI volumes have been growing. It's just last 6 months, 9 months, it has become more than 250% in just a short time. So obviously, it's a game which is a journey which all of us will have to keep on investing. And NPCI has recently migrated back to billion a day architecture as far as UPI is concerned, and we are working with many banks, including Paytm, to kind of see what all things are required to further scale this up in a big way. So obviously, I think our dream is to reach a billion a day. I'm sure we will reach to that billion a day, and I think the ecosystem contribution and ecosystem capability will be very crucial, not only NPCI in that sense.
Okay. Tell me one more thing, Dilip. You saw us launching app POS also, smartphone device becoming a POS now, and RuPay is obviously part of the offering to the merchant. Yeah. How do you see the app POS growing towards becoming a need for SMEs, and how does it serve? What kind of needs it serves that a smartphone or a QR only merchant is not able to get? I mean, what does it serve? What does it offer? And why is it needed in today's payment landscape when more or less everybody is using smartphone and can pay using QR codes?
See, Vijay, the way I look at the soft POS, again, it's a great revolution, and congratulations to you and your team for launching this along with all the three networks. I think the payments layer is a base layer for the interaction between the consumer and the merchant. Once this base layer is set, and with the soft POS, you can layer up with multiple services. I think that is the one advantage you can look at, and obviously I'm not very sure about the number, but about 60 to 70% of the China consumption on the e-commerce or merchant sales is in the range of 70% is on EMIs and installments. So I think this is a very powerful feature. And today, with the soft POS and with the centralized control, you could decide that you could decide as which customer can get it and which merchant for it. You could also go back to the segmentation that no, these are of these merchants. I have a tie-up with certain product manufacturers, and I provide those services because I am back to back. I have a back-to-back relationship or a contract with that provider to provide their products on EMI. So I'm saying that this is, once this base layer is set, you could actually leverage it for the credit, leverage it for the EMIs, which kind of helps the whole consumption in the ecosystem. That's it. And I think this is just a starting point. And eventually, what would happen is, even this is what I keep thinking about. Even somebody wants to buy, and mobile recharge is already available back on 10 rupees. But people can pay the bills in installments. People can pay, buy the grocery on installments. I think these are the big use cases which we have actually not seen. We have not seen, because the credit is what really drives the consumption in the economy. And today, if you look at the credit, about 30-50 million people are using it. I think our efforts should be, how the country is actually able to utilize very, very small credit, which is near zero risk, and which is instant decision making by the institution like yours or by the merchant on the fly. And those are possible when you have the gadgets like soft POS, which can be used, which merchant can use his own device to convert into.
I think what you're suggesting on the credit side, innovations on payment on credit are probably going to be the next stage of innovation. Like you suggested, smart POS, soft POS does that. Very completely agree with that. I think very completely agree with that. Dilip, a few last questions, and I have some questions journalists have also sent me. But I'm a fan of FASTag, and although this is not related to us, but we have you here. How have FASTag taken off, man? I mean, you've just changed the face of how in an IoT world, the token of the car is effectively an IoT payment, if you will, except that there is a tag there, which is also an IoT. So I would, in the same spirit, ask you that how incredibly the scale of FASTag have taken off in this country. How how comfortable are you seeing that more and more people, and what's your outlook on FASTag? Basically, my question is, what's your outlook on FASTag? Where is it going to grow? Any numbers will be happy to hear that. How is it grown? Number of issuance, or number of partners, or number of tolls, or number of transactions, number of payment. I think NHAI publicly announces that they achieved 100 crore of payment in one day using FASTag. So tell us about FASTag, Nasha.
No, again, I think this is a great ecosystem effort. While before NPCI in 2016, ICICI was running a closed loop system. I give a lot of credit back to them to start this initiative. And after that, the NHAI and IHMCL and NPCI and the banks, leading banks, including Paytm, came together to build this as an interoperable system. And when we kind of started this, a lot of issues, initial teething problems in scaling up this, and we were very sure that today, the government builds the roads unless the infrastructure is paid by the public. It can't create more and more infrastructure. So today, happy to announce that the NHAI toll collection was about 60-65 crore couple of years now. The digital collections, with eliminating leakages and bringing in the transparency, it is 1 to 200 crore daily collection, as you rightly said, and it kind of helps NHAI also to monetize the asset, which is the road asset, better, because the collections are higher, the collections are faster, right? Because the same day settlement, thanks to RBI's 24/7 RTGS system, and we are able to kind of provide this faster and more efficient payment system back to everybody. Obviously, I give a lot of credit back to NHAI, to NHAI.
I think Dilip has got dropped, but I just wanted to tell you that FASTag is phenomenal. Paytm's FASTag has been able to see unprecedented growth. I mean, we literally are selling millions of them every month, and the number of people who are paying using FASTag and the number of things that we are able to do with FASTag is phenomenal. I'm sure you know this, that not just for the toll, which are national tolls, and then there are state tolls, then the city tolls. So for everybody's reference, national tolls are, which are national highway, and then state highway are, let's say Delhi to Agra is a state highway because it starts from Noida and completes in Agra or Lucknow. That's a state highway. So the state highways are getting the toll acceptance using FASTag, and then the city tolls. I mean, if you know city toll, like let's say Bombay Sea Link is a city toll, that will take the FASTag. So slowly FASTag will become ubiquitous, and we are very, very pleased with the results that are coming up. I mean, I just wanted to tell you guys, experience that how well integrated Paytm has been able to create a FASTag. Absolutely flawless experience there. Now I'm taking the questions that you guys are talking about it. Stevie, how many FASTag registered with Paytm? This is a number that we are going to announce towards this month end, because this month end is when nationally everybody will be obligated. We are seeing fast acceptance. I mean, unprecedented deal there. Mr. Anil is asking, the best method is how to prevent fraud, especially how to prevent fraud by using buy from your shopkeeper. What is the main theme of new innovations? So, Mr. Anil, the fraud protection is the responsibility of a consumer. Do not believe that somebody making a phone call is calling from a legitimate authority, either a bank or any other person. For example, like asking you to install an app, please never install an app on behalf of somebody making a phone call, because that app gives your control of your phone to the B party. Obviously, this is the next level of fraud because OTP sharing is reduced and the systems designers reduced the requirement of OTP. Now the fraudsters are asking you to install in the name of KYC, in the name of some reward, in the name of anything. I mean, please never install any app whatsoever on a phone call that you receive. स्पीकिंग ऑफ राजेश यादव, इंडिया में अभी भी साइबर क्राइम से निपटने के ठोस उपाय नहीं है, फ्रॉड बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. देखिए, फ्रॉडस्टर के बारे में मैं एक ही बात बोल सकता हूँ कि फ्रॉडस्टर उतना पावरफुल है जितना आप उसको बनने देंगे. एज अ ग्राहक, जितना ग्राहक और जितना उपभोक्ता अपना ख्याल रखेगा, उतना ही टफ हो जाएगा साइबर क्राइम को निभा पाना। ये बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है जैसे कि सड़क पे एक्सीडेंट बढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन सड़क पे अगर एक्सीडेंट रोकने हैं तो आपको, जो सड़क के उपभोक्ता है, आपको सड़क को यूज करने के लिए इस बात का अलर्ट रहना पड़ेगा कि आप सामने में कौन आ रहा है, जा रहा है। इस तरह से आपका, जैसे कि एक सड़क को यूजर को अपनी दुर्घटना बचाने के लिए खुद को सावधान रखना पड़ता है, उसी तरीके से साइबर क्राइम रोकने के लिए एज अ उपभोक्ता आपको ध्यान रखना होगा। अगर आप अपना OTP शेयर नहीं करेंगे, आप अगर कोई ऐप इंस्टॉल नहीं करेंगे, आप अगर एक किसी भुलावे में नहीं आएंगे कि मैंने किसी एक वेबसाइट पे कोई सामान डाला और उसके लिए किसी ने मेरे को बोला कि मैं आपको पेमेंट भेज रहा हूँ, और उसने लिंक भेजा और आपने पिन डाल दिया, मतलब देखिए ये बिल्कुल यही है एक खास बात कि डिजिटल पेमेंट, मोबाइल पेमेंट इस देश की जरूरत और हमारी इकोनॉमी की जरूरत है, क्योंकि जिस तरह के स्केल की हम बात कर रहे हैं रिटेल पेमेंट्स में, उसके लिए है। और ये बिल्कुल ऐसे ही है जैसे कि रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट की जरूरत है और आपको रोड रूल्स के बारे में अवेयर होना पड़ेगा। इसी तरीके से मेरा मानना है कि फ्रॉड पे कंट्रोल बहुत इजी है जब आप एज ए उपभोक्ता उनका ध्यान रखेंगे। तो दिलीप, आई एम बैक हियर, thank you for coming back. We saw you got dropped, so
I'm so sorry for technical issue.
I was able to take questions from the people that they have asked, and more or less on the fraud. So I'm going to ask you a question on the fraud itself, considering that a lot of questions on the fraud keep coming. Overall, I mean, it's not related to one payment instrument or one payment method or otherwise. There are times when consumers don't feel comfortable, and obviously, as industry, yourself, every one of us, every one of us is coming together. Regulator is also bringing a lot of attention to the consumers. Tell us what should, as an industry, regulator, government, people, consumer, citizen, your comments on growing cyber frauds or controlling cyber frauds, I would say, your comments and your inputs on capping, controlling, reducing cyber frauds as the payment is becoming ubiquitous, digital and mobile.
So I think the only solution which I see here is there are the one is on the consumer side and second is on the institution side. The institution side, we will have to keep increasing the awareness, as you rightly said. We have to keep doing the campaigns, keep doing the awareness in various local languages to make people understand that the digital payments is safe. Digital payments is two-factor authentication. So unless you share anything, unless you give anything to anybody, nobody will be able to access your bank account. So I think the digital payment is absolutely safe and secure. So education and awareness for our customers that do not fall prey to any phishing calls, any fraudulent calls, and do not share data. I think this is the first thing as a financial institutions and ecosystem we will have to keep doing it, and I think this we'll have to continue to invest on this, because unless we do this, we look at, we speak about 200 million users using the digital payments right now, and if you want to get next few 100 million users, I think that the need to educate is more, right? Because this is the population which may not have understood fully the implications of sharing the details and passwords to outside. Second is, while we educate the customer, I think the need of AI to kind of identify these fraudulent patterns and kind of blocking them real time is, I think, the need of the hour. And today, when we look at, the fraudsters are sending the fraudulent links, fraudsters are trying to use some of the platforms like OLX and those kind of things to kind of find gullible customers and lure them with. So I think there is a need to use AI or a technology, not only in the centralized side, but also on the app, to alert customer that this may not be a trusted party to send the payment to. This is not we came up with a concept like verified merchants, right? In a big way, right? Today the verified merchant is something where you can give the higher limits, you can give the higher velocity. So I think these are the things which we'll have to do. I think less said enough, Vijay. I think there is a lot of work on this side for us to do.
I think, Dilip, one thing that I will add, what Dilip is saying, it is less work done, more to be pending. It's more like a race. I mean, there is a fraudster who starts to find out a new way to gullibly consume the customer. I was sharing this few minutes back, Dilip, that earlier it used to be OTP sharing, and considering system has been created in a way that there is no OTP sharing advantage you can get, then they're asking the customer to install an app so that they can remote control the app. So it's basically a race, and I believe that more and more aware customer that you don't trust somebody making a phone call is the simplest way to understand that you don't fall for these.
Absolutely.
Literally the last question and last few questions, and this is my personal last question. And we just learned that RBI has announced request for NUEs, and they have said in their document that there is payment is a way of life in this country. There is concentration and so on. How do you take that NPCI has become that strong in organization, that strong powerhouse of centralized payment in this country, and it drives such a positive move in this country that regulator is now considering that it is going to be hugely dependent on these payment systems, and they need to create another probably one or two, we do not know, organizations. What's your comment on success of NPCI, opportunity of NUE, and anything on this consultation discussions that are talked about?
See, Vijay, NPCI has been started as a not-for-profit or a public good, and I think we had a mandate, very high expectations back from RBI, government, and the ecosystem. The 10 promoter banks which started NPCI invested very heavily into NPCI to get this to the level of success what NPCI is seeing right now. So obviously, I would give a lot of credit to RBI and the IBA and the banks to build an institution like this and scale it up to this level. The second point is the regulator in the payment system. In fact, India is one of the countries where the regulator is so aggressive. It's very difficult to keep a pace with the regulatory policies and the innovation, right? And we are constantly, actually, we are one step behind always. As far as RBI is concerned,
Statement I would agree that India's regulator is much more ahead of even the participant in the payment or banking system in this country. Their eyes, their attention to the facts is far more than any country, and even bigger than the participant of the plan. So very well said, Deep. Very well said.
So I'm saying whether it's the recent regulation on online dispute resolution, in the world we have not even heard that whether the customer can resolve, it's not report, can resolve the dispute online. So I think only the RBI can think this kind of initiative. But one side, while RBI sets up the bar so high, the other side, they actually work with the ecosystem fairly closely to help them deliver the bar. So I think with this whole NUE conversation, Vijay, I think there is a lot of pressure on NPCI to kind of continue the innovation journey what we have started, and I fully agree that RBI, if the RBI is asking that we need more innovation in the payment system, we need more options for the customer, we need more secure system, we need more power to the customer in their hand while doing the digital payments. I think we fully subscribe those views, and I think this NUE story actually puts a lot of pressure back on ourselves, and we at NPCI management team and the 1,000 employees of NPCI, we believe we need to do a lot more. The game is just started, and I think there is a lot more for NPCI to do, Vijay.
Very positive, Dilip. I must say that this is the way I believe RBI also looks at it, because I was also wondering at one point of time that is it too early, but at the same point of time, the pace has been so massive. I mean, rate of growth is growing, not just the numbers are, but rate of growth is growing. Dilip, you run mobile payment, you run card payment, you run tag payments. Is there any other unique payment method, like you run even biometric AEPS payment? And we didn't talk about AEPS, and I think it is the way that the money transfer or even the digital ATMs are working. Talk about AEPS and its success, and how is it doing, and what kind of success that you see in AEPS, and what is the opportunity in AEPS there?
No, AEPS, it's a true, in a true sense, the government has built the Aadhaar as a public good. I think this pandemic, the government has built two payment systems, which obviously NPCI executed. One is the direct benefit transfer, and the second is the Aadhaar enabled payment system. And in this pandemic, these two payment systems came to the rescue in a big way. While the urban customers were already, some of them are using the mobile payments, some of them are having smartphones, some of them converted to digital payments. But the rural payment systems, when the people didn't have the livelihood, the government actually transferred tens of thousands of crores overnight to the customer's account using the Aadhaar payment system DBT platform. And the customers actually could use, the last mile business correspondent network using the Aadhaar enabled payment system to withdraw that money. And actually, when they didn't have the jobs, this money was really came up as a life support back to them. So I think we are so glad that we could actually run this two payment systems on behalf of government and actually come to the rescue when actually it was the most needed during the pandemic.
I must acknowledge, Dilip. I mean, systems like you said, from IMPS from like we can talk about AEPS or obviously the UPI, these systems built by NPCI come to the rescue or come to the use of every common citizen every day at unprecedented scale. Last and final question. How has pandemic changed your work schedule? How has pandemic changed your work from home or work in office approach for NPCI and your teammates, and how the work from office or work from home will continue in the way forward? What is your call on that?
See, NPCI, when the pandemic was hit, all of us were worried that we run such a critical payment infrastructure, and how do we keep this on? How do we continue to keep this on and without any disruption? A lot of conversations back with government and RBI both to ensure that how do we deal with this. Both have been very kind enough to allow NPCI employees to get some special pass and travel back to the office. I think right from the beginning, Vijay, about 30 to 40% NPCI employees have been coming to office. Since September, about 50% NPCI has been working from in the office. And being a critical infrastructure, the employees thought it's their duty to even take the risk and come to the office, right? Because if these 1,000 employees are running the payment system, which has been serving the billion population, it was our duty to come to office and ensure that the payment systems continue to run uninterrupted. Obviously, this sometimes it doesn't look like when the things are running, people don't realize the kind of hard work which is gone inside. But again, I've been very, very fortunate to lead the 1,000 employees which are so committed and so strong behind the purpose of why NPCI started, to serve the public, to serve as a public good. And I think it's an opportunity which I think there are many smart people in the country, and I think still we have got the opportunity to lead NPCI and service to the public. I think it's an opportunity given by the nation to us, and I hope we continue to fulfill that.
Beautiful, Dilip, beautiful. It's humbling to hear your approach to the work, your team's approach, NPCI's approach, and the way you are saying that it is an opportunity to serve this country. Perfectly same words that so many of us echo here. One question came, so I'm just going to ask, because this question relates to you and I would have answered that. With bank infra under stress with growth of digital payments, how is NPCI mitigating this and working with banks to ensure transaction declines are low? This is from Tarush of Mint.
So Tarush, if you look at obviously the December, we were hit with a 2.5x volume in October, and we were really crumbling to support the ecosystem. But if you would have seen the numbers starting from December, January, and February, the technical declines are coming down. The UPI volumes are, in response to that, UPI volumes are also growing. Obviously, I'm not saying that we have found all the solutions in terms of solving the technical declines end to end, but this is a journey and we are working very closely with the banks. NPCI being a public institution, we transparently display not only the NPCI downtimes, NPCI issues, but but also the banks downtime, banks. So it's clear, evident to you that which are the banks which are performing, which are the banks which are not performing, and especially last 2-3 months, some of the public sector banks actually completed that migration merger activity, and maybe that would have created a stress. But I think most of the activities are complete now, and hopefully you will see. We are seeing a good number. We saw good number in Feb, and we are seeing better number in March. So I can assure you that when the March is over, you will see you must start seeing a better number as far as the technical declines is concerned.
Great. I'm sure there will be a growth, not just in one type of payment, but all kind of payments that NPCI and every one of us runs. Thank you so much, Dilip. It's been such an incredible seeing the work done by you and your team and everyone in NPCI. I can say this very profoundly that the revolution that you brought is impeccable, is seen across the world. We are happy and very proud partners. As you know, we are the largest issuers when it comes to any of the product of NPCI, nearly largest acquirer when it comes to any product of NPCI. Thank you so much once again for joining us today morning, today afternoon. I'd say you've been lavish with the time. So thank you so much once again, Dilip.
Thank you. Thank you. An honor, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dilip. With this, we come to an end of our event, guys. I look forward to have a conversation. If you want to join in this video call, or I can have any questions that our press team will take it up from you. Thank you, Kumar. It was incredible hearing Dilip, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, knowing so much what goes behind the scene and sharing that was quite an incredible. And I love what your team does, man. I mean, the kind of innovations that you bring.
No, absolutely. I think, and they could spend so much time. Even Ram, I think, shared some really good insights.
I think the future is bright and future is deep blue.
Absolutely, you should paint it blue.
You paint it blue. So thank you everyone who joined us in today's event. It's as you know, we've launched our 2 devices, and these devices are not just a few part of our plan, but a key part of our commitment and investment in merchant ecosystem that we keep doing. Soundbox 2.0, soft POS, smart POS, app POS, and then even other devices that are out there in the market that we've launched. We look to empower 50 million merchants using our software services, financial services, to enable taking payments to other financial services. And out of that, 10% of them will be using our one or other IoT devices. So here is to the bright future of our merchant partners and their success that we celebrate and commit this launch to. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar.